Shigong no Chimoyan Ishibimasaid no Chimoyan Ishibimasaid.
How amazing it really is.
I'm here to tell you a story about Minnesotans. A story about Renee Nicole Good, a mom who wrote poems and had sparkles coming out of her pores. She had whistles. They had guns. A story about Alex Pretty, an ICU nurse who cared for American veterans. Someone who wanted to make a difference in the world and spent his last moments protecting a woman targeted by ICE. A story about Liam Conejo Ramos and his father, Adrian Conejo Arias, a preschooler with a Spider-Man backpack and a blue bunny hat, and his father, who were only trying to get to school. A story about all the people nationwide who have died at the hands of ICE. The thousands in Minnesota and across the country who have been hiding in their homes for months, afraid of being taken by ICE. The hundreds of thousands separated from their families, trapped in detention centers, are deported and dreaming of a way back home. Heartbreaking stories meant to exhaust us into submission. But not you, Minnesota. This is a story about a revolution starting in Minnesota. When your neighbors are being attacked and your communities are being targeted, you don't give up. You don't look away. You don't back down. You showed up. Protesting by the thousands, sub-freezing temperatures. Delivering groceries to neighbors in hiding. Driving friends to doctor's appointments and walking children to school. The heroism of ordinary people doing extraordinary acts of resilience, who showed the world what courage looks like. I'm not cold. I'm not afraid. Minnesota taught us to be brave.
May I have your attention for an important public safety announcement. Once again, Minnesotans have shown up. But anytime we have a crowd this large, it is possible for people to become separated. If you have become separated from your family or your group, the place to meet is the Lost and Found area located on Reverend Martin Luther King Boulevard. As you face the Capitol, Reverend Martin Luther King Boulevard is the street to your left. That is where you should go and where you should direct people who are lost. Thank you all for making this a safe event for everyone. And now, are you ready to continue with No Kings 3? We are proud to welcome to the stage organizer, activist, and movement strategist, Ashley Woodard Henderson.
Why are we in this situation that brings us down? Can't you see we are losing patience with oppression now? The people will rise, the people will rise, the people will rise. Sing with me. The people will rise, the people will rise, the people will rise. It looks like you're mighty risen today. It looks like you're mighty risen today. My name is Ashley Woodard Henderson, and I'm gonna be your friendly MC today for this No Kings 3 flagship rally. How you doing? Look at this historic moment that Minnesotans built. Not a moment that happened to Minnesotans, but the moment you built. You built this moment. We are standing miles from where federal agents took the lives of Renee Good and Alex Preddy. We're standing in the shadow of the Capitol where Melissa and Mark Hortman lay in state, murdered the morning of the very first No Kings, because a man with a hit list tried to stop what we're doing right now. We honor them today. And I need you to understand one more fundamental truth about where we're standing. This is not just a rally site, my friends. I know if you look around, you might think it to be. But this isn't just a rally site. This is a place where a wannabe king sent 3,000 federal agents to terrorize your neighbors. Stephen Miller drew up the blueprint. Y'all heard of that little thing, Operation Metro Surge? They thought it could break Minnesota. They didn't know Minnesota. They didn't know Minnesota. They didn't know the immigrant families and labor unions, faith leaders and soccer moms, retirees and young people would lock arms and say, "Not our neighbors. Not our city. Not our state, not here." Y'all, you didn't just resist. You didn't just show up, you organized. You built phone trees and legal clinics. Y'all built sanctuary networks. You showed up in 10 below 0-degree weather. You came out when they had pepper spray and tear gas and bullets. You came back the next day and the day after that and the day after that, and guess what? The whole damn country told them to leave. And guess what, y'all? Kristi Noem and Greg Bovino, peace, they gone, right? The Twin Cities, the land of 10,000 lakes, guess what? Y'all still here? Look around. We out here. That's not just a one-day protest, my friends. That's building power. You all are showing us why we ought to be here. Because Minnesotans proved to our entire country something that we all need to take seriously and learn. We do not wait for permission to protect each other. We do not beg a wannabe king willing to do the right thing. We organize. We refuse to comply or cooperate with evil forces in high places. When they demand our complicity and quiet disobedience, we do the right thing. We build people power together. And it wasn't just here. It was Los Angeles and Memphis and Washington, D.C., Chicago, Portland, Charlotte, Denver, Atlanta, Newark, Philadelphia, Seattle, Nashville. It was communities across our country. This administration will not win. They will not win. And we will make it clear as they try to prove to us that they will use force against our people, even when we are peaceful. Across our country, our people have made it clear back. We will not be broken. In June, 5 million people took to the streets. In October, 7 million. Right now, right this second, there are 3,300 No Kings actions happening across 16 countries. Y'all, there are No Kings protests on every continent except for Antarctica. They'll catch up. Let me say this again. Nearly every continent on earth is with us. They're out there right now because of what you showed them, Minnesota. So today, we celebrate that. Today, we lift up the people who made this moment happen. Today, we sing and we march and we stand together on this beautiful day at this Capitol and we let them hear us. Do you want to be heard today? Now, y'all know me because y'all been on the mass calls. I have to keep it honest with you. And you know I'm going to keep it real with you today and tomorrow. Today is not the finish line, my friends. How many of y'all, it's your first No Kings? Holler at me if it's your first No Kings. I see you. Welcome. Today is not the end of our work. Today is the beginning. Today is the proof of concept. What you built here in Minnesota, every single community in this country needs help to build. And they're gonna need your help. Y'all, today, we're gonna have a beautiful day, right? We are gonna be powerful together today, right? We are gonna be disciplined in our nonviolence today, right? We're gonna build power together. Let's honor the people that we have lost. Let's celebrate the people who are still fighting, like each and every one of you. And let's get ready, because what comes next is gonna require every single one of us. Y'all, I wanna hear you say it. No ICE, no war, no billionaires, no kings. I think you can, if I don't believe you, they're not. No war, no ICE, no billionaires, no kings. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's go.
Please welcome to the stage Gwen Westerman, Minister Janae Bates, Imam Makram El-Amin, and Rabbi Ariel Lekich Rosenberg.
Hamitakiapi. Hello, my relatives. I'm Petukinde, I'm Petuwan Yupia Kaata Hike. O washte wayan kapi win demie da makota. De Dakota makoche. Oh honey, unkiksuapikte. This is for Renee and Liam and Alex and the thousands of others whose names we don't have with us today. When we stand together, possibilities seem endless, but only for those who can look up. How do we reconcile azure sky above white clouds with what is obscured below? The winding rivers, the broken hearts, the soulless eyes, the brush of wings, the lost dreams. Possibilities are endless, yet the needs are beyond measure. When time has run out and ties have been broken, when speaking out means losing your life, when chaos abounds and there is no shelter, when protecting a woman means losing your life. Who recognizes her talent when she has no hope? Who lends a hand when he cannot get up? Who welcomes them when all the doors close? The possibilities are endless when we stand together. Reach out, join hands, look up. We are Minnesota strong.
Thank you, Gwen. Hello, Minnesota. I am Minister Janae Bates Amari. I am the co-executive director of Isaiah and Faith in Minnesota in this awesome state. And can I keep it real with you all for a minute? Can I keep it real with you all for a minute? I'm going to talk very, very clearly, fully, and unapologetically as a country who are using something called white Christian nationalism. And right now we are in the Lenten season. We are in the Lenten season. We are getting ready to celebrate tomorrow, Palm Sunday. And on Palm Sunday, there were two processions that happened. There was one that we hear about with Jesus on a donkey, but there was another with Pontius Pilate and Caesar, who declared himself as king, who tried to hold down the people of that time, who tried to tell us that we do not deserve better, who tried to oppress people with cruelty, who tried to tax people and take their wages and use them for things that were not about feeding the hungry, that were not about healing the sick, that were not about caring for the poor, that were not about loving thy neighbor. And that is what we who call ourselves Christians are supposed to do. And so as thousands of Christians are prepared to come right back here tomorrow at 2:30, right back here at this Capitol, we are coming together to declare that Christians need to stand up right now at this time. That's right. Christians, especially in Minnesota, and Minnesotans across race and faith, have gotten to bear witness something great here. We have witnessed some horror and some terror and some harm and some abductions and some killing. But we've also witnessed what it means to love thy neighbor and to live that sermon out loud. And so my prayer for all of us Minnesotans, and the invocation in this moment, is that we take seriously our responsibility, that it is on us, that we have agency, that we get to decide what liberation is, and there is certainly no king in no White House who will do that for us. So I hope that I get to see many of you right back here tomorrow at 2:30 at this Capitol. But I also hope and pray that we continue to move our feet, because we may have won a battle, but we're going to win the greatest of all time, because Minnesota how a neighbor loves their neighbor.
Greetings of peace. I greet you with the universal greeting of peace. Assalamu alaikum. May God's peace be with you. I am Imam Makram El-Amin, and I stand before you today as a Muslim. I stand before you as an imam, as an African-American man whose very existence is rooted in the struggle for dignity, justice, and freedom. Oh God, the creator of all, Lord of humanity, you created us from a single soul and made us nations and tribes that we may come to know each other. We ask you this day to bless this gathering, not just for our presence, but for our purpose, not just for our voices, but for our courage. We stand together in this moment where power seeks to concentrate itself in the hands of a few. Where fear is used to divide neighbor from neighbor, where the language of domination is dressed up as order. But we know better. We have seen this before. We carry the memory of oppression in our very bones. And we also carry the legacy of resistance in our spirits. Oh God, strengthen us to speak truth to power, not with hatred, but with clarity, not with violence, but with unwavering convictions. Let us not be intimidated by the machinery of authoritarianism, nor seduced by the comfort of silence. May us all people stand together for justice even when it's inconvenient. Make us people who protect the vulnerable even when it costs us something. Make us people who refuse to bow to any king except for you. And while we stand firm, oh God, strengthen our hearts towards one another. In this interfaith gathering, remind us that our diversity is not weakness, it is our witness. Together, Muslims, Christians, Jewish people, and people of consciousness will form a moral arc that no regime can permanently bend away from justice. Oh God, raise us to a higher level today. Let us be a just rally, not just a rally, but a renewal of our commitment to each other, a renewal of our belief that justice is still possible, a renewal of their courage to build a nation lives in its highest ideals. And when history remembers this moment, let it be said that we did not shrink, we stood. We did not divide, we united. We did not despair, we believed. May God bless you all. God protect this city, and God protect all of those who are working for justice, dignity, and peace. Amen.
Good afternoon, Minnesota. You're beautiful. My name is Rabbi Ariel Lekach Rosenberg. I'm the rabbi of Shir Tikva in South Minneapolis. I am so honored to be here today. Will you sing with me? Will you sing with me? No one is getting left behind this time. No one is getting left behind. No one is getting left behind this time. We get there together, never get there at all. We get there together, never get there at all. We get there together, never get there at all. So dear ones, welcome to this epic family reunion. And what a family we are. The people of Minnesota, with our whistles, with our cell phones, doing everything we can to stop the federal government's invasion of our home. Everything we can to stop authoritarianism. Now, Jewish people will tell the story this week around our Passover tables of our ancestors leaving the narrowness of oppression as an Erev Rav, as a multiracial, cross-class, intergenerational multitude, an enduring coalition. Our ancestors crossed the sea with their neighbors. They would not leave each other behind. And in Minnesota, we have created an ecosystem of resistance in the face of fascists and white Christian nationalists, Bound together, we work to keep each other safe. And these oligarchs, they're scared of our network of neighbors, this web of care, and they should be. And we're here together today to say no. No to the abductions. No to the brutality of this federal invasion. No to fascism. No to any leader that attempts to lead without the will of the people. But we are also saying a loud and beautiful yes to the world that we want. Yes to repairing our communities. Yes to our shared dignity. Yes to our defiant joy. So Holy One, be with us now, this irrepressible coalition, calling on our neighbors across the country and around the world to join us, to show up with the strength of our no and the chutzpah and the vitality of our yes, that we might build a world founded on a transformative love for one another that gives us the strength to oppose the forces of domination. So Holy One, make us a people who say yes and yes and yes to one another. Yes to creativity, yes to courage, yes to belonging to this expansive and expanding coalition. No one is getting left behind this time. We get there together or never get there at all.
No Kings is proud to welcome to the stage the 41st governor of the great state of Minnesota, Tim Walz, and First Lady Gwen Walz.
Wow. Hello, Minnesota. Welcome to the freest state in the nation. A state where you love who you choose to love. A state where you make your healthcare decisions. A state where you worship or not according to your own beliefs. And maybe most importantly, a state where everyone belongs. Thank you to all the organizers. Thank you to our sisters and brothers in labor for the work you do every day and being here making this possible. Look, when the wannabe dictator in the White House sent his untrained, aggressive thugs to do damage to Minnesota, it was you, Minnesota, who stood up for your neighbors, who stood up for decency, who stood up for kindness. And at this moment that we are still in, when democracy itself seems to be at risk, it was Minnesota who said, not on our watch, not on our watch. You are the heart and soul of what the nation saw that is good in this nation. But make no mistakes about it. They did damage. They killed Renee and Alex. They traumatized our neighbors. And just be very clear, our weather may be a little cool, but our people are warm and we're fierce. And my message, because this is not over, don't ever mistake our kindness for weakness. We demand justice for Renee Good and Alex Preddy. We demand justice for every single person who was hurt or traumatized. We will never forget what they did here. And I have a message to our immigrant community here in Minnesota. You are seen, heard, valued, and loved. You add value to our state. You are part of the fabric of what is good about Minnesota. And I have to tell you, that is a hell of a lot more than I'll say about anybody in the White House. And I will add a special thank you and a special acknowledgement that we will never leave the side of our Somali Minnesotans. Here's our pledge to you. Our Somali Minnesotans, your great-grandchildren will still be here when that orange clown is in the dustbin of history. You will be here. They call us radicals. I see that the president said it's a bunch of radicals. You're damn right we've been radicalized. Radicalized by compassion, radicalized by decency, radicalized by due process, radicalized by democracy, and radicalized to do all we can to oppose authoritarianism. So for those of you watching at home, welcome to the North Star State. Welcome to the land of hope and dreams. And it's my pleasure to be able to welcome somebody who has spent a lifetime giving voice to the working class, expressing our hopes and dreams, our fears, all of the things that makes us human, and has done that with a voice that resonated across generations. So I have to tell you, we're damn sure about this. We need no damn kings. But I'll tell you what I'm glad we have. We do need a boss. Please welcome Bruce Springsteen to the stage.
Hello, Minnesota. All right. Hey, it's turning into a beautiful day. Well, this past winter, federal troops brought death and terror to the streets of Minneapolis. Well, they picked the wrong city. The power and the solidarity of the people of Minneapolis and of Minnesota was an inspiration to the entire country. Your strength and your commitment told us that this is still America. And this reactionary nightmare and these invasions of American cities will not stand. You gave us hope, you gave us courage, and for those who gave their lives, Renee Good, mother of 3, brutally murdered, Alex Preddy, VA nurse, executed by ICE, shot in the back and left to die in the street without even the decency of our lawless government investigating their deaths. Their bravery, their sacrifice, and their names will not be forgotten. Well, through the winter's ice and cold, down Nicollet Avenue, a city of flame fought fire and ice, 'neath an occupier's boots. King Trump's private army from the DHS, guns belted to their coats, came to Minneapolis to enforce
you. People choosing each other again and again, standing shoulder to shoulder, not divided by fear, but united by purpose. That is right here. This right here is what democracy looks like. So today, from St. Paul, we send a message to this country and to the world. We are essential, we are organized, and we are no longer afraid. Because this moment right here is bigger than politics. This is about dignity. Because no system built on fear will ever be stronger than a community built on love. So today, I ask you, do not leave unchanged. Leave louder, leave braver, leave ready. Because power does not belong to presidents or billionaires, and it does not belong to anyone trying to rule through fear. Power belongs to the people. Power belongs to all of us. Y ahora quiero decir algo en español a mi comunidad que está aquí presente. A cada familia que ha sentido miedo, a cada persona que ha tenido que ser fuerte incluso cuando no podíamos. Aquí nos organizamos, nos cuidamos y nos defendemos porque somos una comunidad de dignidad, de fuerza y de amor. Y aunque intenten dividirnos, aunque intenten silenciarnos, no podrán hacerlo. So let this moment travel across the United States, across the world, and let it be clear to every single corner of this country. We are here, we belong, and we are a blessing to this country. Thank you. Gracias.
Hello, Minnesota! I greet you with the Muslim greeting of peace. Assalamu alaikum. May peace be upon you all. I also greet you with the Somali greeting, Galab Wanagsan. I want to begin by grounding us in truth. This land is home to the indigenous peoples, the original stewards whose presence, care, and sovereignty did not begin with history books and does not end here today. We must also acknowledge our African American sisters and brothers whose ancestors were forcibly brought here through slavery and who build, shape, and sustain this country through generations of struggle, resistance, and brilliance, and who are still waiting for justice and reparations. And then there's the rest of all of us. All of us. Whether we come from Asia, the African diaspora, Latin America, North Africa, or Europe, we are all immigrants in this land. Many of us are here because of movement, whether by choice, by force, or by necessity. Whether our ancestors escaped monarchies, wars, persecutions, we crossed oceans and borders in search for a better life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Naming this matters. It reminds us while our stories are different, they are deeply connected through histories of displacement, resilience, and the struggle for dignity. And now I'm gonna holler a little bit at my Somali sisters and brothers. Somali people are people who have known hardship, war, displacement, famine, the uncertainty of starting over. Many of us carry stories of loss, but alongside these stories is something just as powerful: survival, strength, and the refusal to be erased. Because even when borders shift, our identity does not. As a Somali American, we carry the stories of 1,000 sunrises over the Horn of Africa. We carry the strength of our mothers, the resilience of our fathers. We come from people who have survived war, displacement, and started over and over from nothing. So understand this. If we have survived all of that, we will survive your harsh words. As immigrants, we rebuild, we adapt, we learn new languages while teaching our children our old ones. We contribute to the places that we arrive in with our labor, our culture, our ideas, and our very spirits. We stand as proof that identity can survive distance, that culture can survive disruption, and that people can rise again and again under the warmth of other suns and the cold of Minnesota winters. What we ask is simple: the right to hold on to who we are while becoming a part of where we are. The right to belong without having to erase ourselves. Because when immigrants thrive, our communities grow richer, not just economically, but culturally, socially, and morally. Over the last few months, Minnesotans have shown up in record numbers to protect one another. We showed the nations that our differences are our special sauce. Our neighbor's dignity will not be tied to where you were born. We showed the nation that it is tied to our humanity. Today, we stand at a moment in history that demands more than reflection. It demands action. Across the world and here at home, we are witnessing rising tensions and rising gas prices. We see policies that reshape who belongs and who is protected. We are seeing our authorities tested, expanded, and sometimes concentrated in ways that call for vigilance. This is not a moment for silence. It's a moment for clarity. And let us be clear: no thrones, no crowns, and no kings. So America, Minnesota, what do we do after this moment? That is what counts. We must act with urgency. We must widen the circle, bring more voices to the table, invite more communities into the conversation. Look around you. Who is missing? Bring them into the circle. We attend community meetings. We contact our elected officials. We advocate for policies that protect immigrants, refugees, and all marginalized communities. For policies that allow us to put food on the table and a roof over our heads. We organize, we participate, and we show up. And Minnesota, we showed the country that that is what we do. So let's continue to show up, not just today, not in this moment of crisis, but consistently, ongoing, relentlessly in our commitment to justice and inclusion. We roll up our sleeves and get to work towards meaningful and systemic change.
Hi, everyone. Nhớ rằng của cháu mình câu li va hơi của St. Paul Mayor. I want to welcome everyone in St. Paul here, communities across Minnesota, and all across the nation. As the mayor of our beautiful capital city, I welcome you. Today, we stand up to declare that 250 years later, that this is a land without a ruler, and we are a people without a king. Donald Trump tried to make an example of Minnesota. Get in Trump's way, and he will do to you and your community what he did to our beloved Twin Cities. But I tell you, do not be afraid. Trump and Kristi Noem illegally sent thousands of masked, unaccountable agents to occupy our streets for months. And like so many of Donald Trump's other ventures, he failed. We delivered groceries to neighbors, raised funds, protested, and stood vigilant so that our children could go to school without fear of abduction. Because of our solidarity, Minnesota became the model of resistance for the country. My grandfather fought in the secret war for America, a country he had never set foot in, because he believed in democracy and freedom. My family fled this war as refugees to bring their children to a country where they would be free from tyranny and oppression. They could never imagine their children would end up living in an occupied city, too afraid to open their blinds and leave their homes. The occupation our community experienced is not who we are or should be as a country. I shouldn't. You shouldn't. Your children should not have to carry around their passports in fear of unlawful detention. We are not defined by the tragedy we experience, but by how we respond to it. Donald Trump, your actions speak for who you are, and the chaos of your lawless agents is yours to bear. St. Paul and Minneapolis have shown that strength comes from the people, not from a king. The lessons we learned, the unity we built, the communities we created during this crisis will endure. We know who our neighbors are, and we will always stand with them in power and in love. As mayor of St. Paul, I want to thank our partners in the state, Governor Walz, Lieutenant Governor Flanagan, Attorney General Keith Ellison, my partner across the river, Mayor Fry, our neighboring cities and communities, the Minnesota ACLU, Twin Cities Indivisible, and most of all, I am grateful to all of you who stand with me when I say, no kings! Thank you.
People across the Twin Cities have stepped up over many months to protect their neighbors and push back against authoritarianism. Now it's time for the world to hear their stories. Give a warm, no kings welcome to Flannery Clark, Nick Benson, Natalie Arrett, and Nakima Levy Armstrong.
Hello, Minnesota. Hello, I'm Nick Benson. I like airplanes, and I'm a plaid-clad working dad. Most importantly, I'm a Minnesotan. 6 months ago, I was chatting with a fellow aviation geek, Seth Miller. He's an outspoken critic of ICE deportation flights. I said, Seth, I really admire your courage. I wish I could do that. He replied, it's not that hard, you just have to do it. Now I'm here, volunteering with Minnesota 5051. We count every person being loaded on ICE flights at MSP. There were 19 yesterday. We revealed that Delta Airlines is flying Minnesota kids to concentration camps. Seth told me it's not going to be that hard, but truthfully, it's been a struggle, hasn't it? We've been remembering Victor Manuel Diaz, Renee Good, Alex Preddy. We've been thinking about our neighbors who've been stuck at home, unable to go to school, work, or the doctor. We've been thinking about the kids who are not sure if mom or dad will be home tonight for bedtime snuggles. The students who are not sure if their friend with a cute hat will ever get to play with them ever again. We've knelt in apartment hallways, Spanish over speakerphone, explaining that we were there to help. We've woken up full of rage after a nightmare, discovering ICE agents lurking in another place that used to be safe. It wasn't easy, but we had to do it. But what if Metro Surge wasn't the end? What if it was just the beginning? What if the upcoming year is worse than the year before? Silent businesses, complicit institutions, and cowardly politicians keep failing us, but you don't have to. My fellow Minnesotans, I'm giving each one of you here today explicit permission to act with courage. It's not that hard, you just have to do it. Be the neighbor that Mr. Rogers knew you could be. Be a helper. When the government fails to meet our needs, we meet them ourselves. We feed each other, clothe each other, and care for each other. We keep us safe. So when others are silent, speak up. Stand up for health care, education, childcare, and housing. No kings is a great start, but we also need to be done with cowards. When I say no kings, you say no cowards. No kings. No kings. I love you, Minnesota. Fuck ICE.
They put my babies right in front. That's not fair. I probably should have prepared more for this. This is so outside of my comfort zone, but that's partly intentional because what Haven Watch did, what Minnesotans did when faced with injustice wasn't comfortable. It wasn't organized or well rehearsed. We didn't know to do until we were already doing it. We just acted. Haven Watch began on January 12th when I took my 11 and 21-year-old sons to the Whipple Federal Building, where people were being released from detention. I took them to see the protests there and to learn how to use their voices and their bodies to stand up. At one point, my 21-year-old son went off on his own and called from his phone shortly after. He told me he had found 2 girls wandering in the cold, freezing, without phones, and he had them in our car, giving them food and water and letting them use his phone to call home. My son Jack did that night what Haven has done every day and night since then. If anyone was going to be the spark that started Haven Watch, it was him. 3 years ago, Jack was diagnosed with brain cancer his senior year of high school, and he went through more in that year than many of us will in a lifetime, and nearly died more than once. He has always been kind, but that experience changed him. He understands now what most of us don't, how short life can be, and how important true human connection and kindness is. While I don't wish his forced perspective on any of you, I think we can learn from it. Don't walk past suffering. Act, even when it's not easy. Because that's what he did, and that's what Minnesota did, and that's what our incredible volunteers did. They paused their lives, mostly strangers, and showed up to stand and watch at a gate. Minnesotans acted on behalf of each other without a plan or regard for their own safety or comfort or even lives. We acted for each other, and that's something we should expect from ourselves every day. There's nothing extraordinary about me or Haven Watch. Sorry, guys. And I mean that in the best way possible, because it means what we did is something anyone could do. Notice the small everyday opportunities to show kindness that are so easy to ignore, and don't ignore them. While ICE's presence in Minnesota may be less visible, the struggles of many in our immigrant communities are no less real. Their need for continued support and care is real. It doesn't stop when the attention fades, and it requires us to keep showing up. The only reason I did this, and I'm up here incredibly nervous and uncomfortable, is because I hope people here can see themselves in what we did and say, I could do that. I could bring 2 people who are freezing into my car and let them use my phone. Thank you.
How y'all doing out there? I'm Nikema Levy-Armstrong, civil rights attorney, activist, and someone standing firmly against authoritarianism, tyranny, and fascism of the Trump administration. They tried to underestimate the people across the state of Minnesota, but we showed them, hell no, we won't go. That we'll continue standing up for the rights of our immigrant brothers and sisters. That we're standing up for those who are being ignored, those who are being treated as if their lives are disposable, and who are being treated as if their lives don't matter. But we have to remember that this struggle did not start with Donald Trump taking office again. It started with our indigenous brothers and sisters standing up for their land, for their people, their dignity, their traditions. And I'm here standing on the shoulders of the black women and the black men and children who came before me. Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks, Fannie Lou Hamer, Sojourner Truth, and so many others who stood up for freedom, justice, and equality. We cannot forget about the struggle of those women who organize in our communities, who taught us that we matter. And when they fought, we all win. I want to lift up one of my comrades, Monique Colors Doty, co-founder of Black Lives Matter Minnesota. Also, co-founder along with myself and Jaylani Hussein of the National Target Boycott. The National Target Boycott started right here in Minnesota, where Target is headquartered. We shot that Target before we saw Target capitulate to Donald Trump and align itself with authoritarianism. We decided that it was time to hold a hometown company accountable for their actions. When they decided to roll back diversity, equity, and inclusion, we the people decided to roll back our dollars and shop Two Stooges with them? The Target boycott continues. I also want to lift up the more than 200 Minnesotans who are currently facing state and federal charges for standing up against the Trump administration. We are calling on our state and county elected officials to drop the damn charges. These people put their lives, bodies, and livelihoods on the line for our freedom and the freedoms of people across this country. Myself, along with Monique and other black women, are also co-organizers of the city's church protests that took place on January 18th during Dr. King weekend. There are 39 of us right now, the righteous 39, who are being charged by the Trump administration for standing up for freedom, justice, and equality. We need to stand behind those of us who are calling out ICE, fascism, tyranny, and authoritarianism on behalf of the people, standing up for our immigrant neighbors, standing up for Renee Good, standing up for Alex Preddy, and calling for justice. I just want to say to the people of Minnesota, you stood up, you fought, you put your bodies on the line, you spoke the truth, and you let them know we're not stepping back. We're not afraid. We will continue to rise up for the people of this country, for our immigrant neighbors, and for the future of our democracy. All power to the people!
My name is Flannery Clark. I'm from the south side of Minneapolis. And for 117 days and counting, I've been wearing this whistle around my neck. I have no plans to stop anytime soon. I'm here representing tens of thousands of ordinary Minnesotans who, when faced with masked and armed ICE thugs abducting our neighbors, said, "Not here, not now, not ever." Since December 4th, armed with whistles, phones, and our deep love for our neighbors, my community and I have built systems of protection in nearly every neighborhood of our city. We did this to ensure our neighbors would not be abducted and disappeared into DHS prisons. We did this to keep families together. We did this because we knew even if we could not stop every act of terror, the least we could do was bear witness. We've built neighborhood alert networks that are so effective that at the height of the occupation, our response time to an ICE sighting in South Minneapolis was less than 2 minutes. Networks so strong, in fact, that we retired Greg Bovino. And we cost Kristi Noem her job. Simultaneously, we created a mutual aid infrastructure that has paid over $10 million in rent, taken thousands of kids to and from school, and delivered meals for countless families. There were thousands of us in the streets in early December, and after our neighbor Renee Good was murdered by ICE on January 7th, there were tens of thousands. We know what happened to Renee and Alex because of the observers and responders who filmed state violence at great risk to themselves. We mourn for every neighbor abducted, every neighbor sent to a camp, and families torn apart. And we will never know how many families were kept together safely in their homes because of the courageous actions of our neighbors. How many were warned with a whistle or a signal chat or a patroller on the corner? The rapid responders of Minnesota are heroes, but they are also ordinary people. These neighbors of mine, these absolute heroes, were tear gassed, harassed, and came right back in the streets. Heroes who unfailingly blew a whistle every time they saw an ICE agent, who recorded every abduction so no neighbor would disappear in darkness. Heroes who understand that it's our moral imperative to stand up, even when it's scary, even when we are terrified, even when guns are pointed at us. I am representing tens of thousands of people whose names you will never know. I'm not here to take credit for them, but I am here to tell you that your neighbors are heroes. They are heroes in thousands of different ways, most of which we will never know. I've never been so proud to be from Minnesota. I am so proud to have seen us step up and become the community we have always needed, to build the world that we know we won't ever stop fighting for.
And now,
all right, as
No
we close,
Kings is...
I'm gonna do one quick chant. Who keeps us safe? Who keeps us safe? Who keeps us safe? Who keeps us safe? All power to the people!
And now, No Kings is proud to welcome to the stage Senator Bernie Sanders.
There are a lot of people here. Thank you, Minnesota. And let me thank Indivisible, Move On, 5051, and all of the organizations that have made this great event possible. And thanks to the millions of Americans from our smallest towns to our largest cities in every state in our country who are gathering today at thousands of rallies. It is absolutely appropriate that we hold a major No Kings rally right here in the St. Paul, Minneapolis area. When historians write about this dangerous moment in American history, when they write about courage and sacrifice, the people of Minnesota will deserve a special chapter for themselves. In the face of unprecedented occupation of this city by ICE, Trump's domestic army, this community stood up and with extraordinary solidarity fought back and won. Minnesota showed the American people, and in fact the world, what democracy is about, what grassroots activism is about, and what standing up for the American ideals of freedom and justice is about. And I want to thank my colleagues, Amy Klobuchar and Tina Smith, for their leadership in the Senate on this issue. And today, we remember and honor two brave Americans, Renee Good and Alex Preddy, who lost their lives in the struggle. And we promise their families and their friends that these two heroes will not have died in vain. Their sacrifice has inspired and will continue to inspire the American people in the never-ending struggle for justice. As all of you know, we are living in an unprecedented and dangerous moment in American history. In many ways, the future of our country, and in fact the entire world, is hanging in the balance. And the actions that we take now will determine what the future looks like. The choices that we face are clear. In the wealthiest country in the history of the world, at a time of massive breakthroughs in technology, we now have the opportunity to create a nation in which all people can enjoy a dignified standard of living, where we wipe out bigotry and hatred, and where all of us can live in peace and participate in a vibrant democracy. Where the foundation of our nation is built on love, compassion, human solidarity, and an understanding. As your great former senator, the late Paul Wellstone, said, we all do better when we all do better. And that is one vision for the future, a vision that, in my view, the vast majority of the American people share. But there is another vision out there as well, a darker vision. It is a vision which says that we must give up on democracy, that we are too stupid and inept to govern ourselves, and that we must put more and more power into the hands of one man. It is a vision that says we should accept an economy in which a handful of oligarchs have unbelievable wealth, while the vast majority of our people struggle to put food on the table. It is a vision that says that the only thing that matters in life is the accumulation of money and power. And that it is okay if we lie, cheat, and steal to achieve those goals. It is a vision which says that we must hate each other because of where we were born. Hate each other because of a different language that someone speaks. Hate each other because of the differences in the color of our skin, or our religion, or our sexual orientation. It is a vision that foments hatred and hatred and hatred, division, division, and division. It is an Orwellian vision which says that we must live in a constant state of fear, that we must always have an enemy, and that we must always be at war. It is a vision which says that we have unlimited amounts of money for bombs and guns and killing, but never enough money to feed our children, provide affordable housing, or enable our parents to retire with dignity. Today, here in Minnesota, in Vermont, and in every state in the country, we say loudly and proudly that as Americans, we will never forsake our heritage. We will never accept authoritarianism. We will never accept oligarchy. And we will never accept a president who is a pathological liar, a kleptocrat, and a narcissist who is undermining the Constitution of the United States and the rule of law every day. We will never accept government policy that gives massive tax breaks to billionaires, throws 15 million Americans off the health care they have, breaks unions, denies women the right to control their own bodies, and is pushing the planet closer and closer to a climate crisis. In the last year, I must confess, I've been thinking a lot about American history, about the men and women in 1776 who, with unbelievable courage, announced to the world that they would no longer be ruled by the King of England, who had absolute power over their lives. These patriots demanded freedom, and they fought a bloody revolutionary war against the most powerful military in the world to achieve that freedom. And they won. And after their military victory, they established the first democratic form of government in modern history. In 1789, they said loudly and boldly to the entire world, here in this new nation of America, we don't want kings. And let us never forget the extraordinary and powerful words they left to us. Quote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." And today, in 2026, our message is exactly the same. No more kings. We will not allow this country to descend into authoritarianism or oligarchy. In America, we, the people, will rule. But let us be clear. This moment is not just about one man's greed, one man's corruption, or one man's contempt for our Constitution. This is about a handful of the wealthiest people on earth who, in their insatiable greed, have taken over our economy, have taken over our political system, have taken over our media, in order to enrich themselves at the expense of the working families of our country. Brothers and sisters, never before in American history have so few had so much wealth and so much power. Never before in American history has there been such extreme levels of income and wealth inequality, with the top 1% now owning, if you can believe it, more wealth than the bottom 93%. Never before in American history had we seen the super rich expand their wealth so rapidly. Last year alone, after receiving the largest tax break in history, 938 billionaires in America, fewer than 1,000 people, became $1.5 trillion richer. And our president, honest Donald Trump, became over $1 billion richer himself. Never before in American history have we seen a ruling class within a corrupt campaign finance system spend so much money to buy politicians. In the coming midterm elections, the billionaires will spend many, many hundreds of millions of dollars to make sure that government continues to work for them and not working families. Meanwhile, while the richest people in America become much, much richer, 60% of our people here in Minnesota, in Vermont, and all over this country are living paycheck to paycheck, struggling to put food on the table, struggling to pay their rent and their mortgage, struggling to pay for child care and education, and struggling to put a few bucks aside for a decent retirement. In America today, tens of thousands of our people die every year unnecessarily because they cannot afford to go to a doctor. And unless we change how our economy works, our younger generation, our kids, for the first time in modern history, will have a lower standard of living than their parents. So today, we not only say no to Trump's authoritarianism, we say no to Mr. Musk, no to Mr. Bezos and Mr. Zuckerberg and Mr. Ellison and all the other multi-billionaires. You cannot have it all. We will create an economy that works for all Americans, not just the 1%. Brothers and sisters, it is not just the authoritarianism of the Trump administration that we must combat. It is not just the oligarchs and their insatiable greed that we must combat. Now, as the news literally of today reminds us, we have got to stop the out-of-control militarism of the Trump administration, whether it is here at home in cities like Minneapolis and St. Paul or abroad. Let us be honest. The American people were lied to about the war in Vietnam. We were lied to about the war in Iraq. And we are being lied to today about the war in Iran. This war must end immediately. In the last election, Donald Trump pointed out correctly the huge amounts of money that had been wasted in wars that should have been spent rebuilding America. He campaigned as a peace candidate, and he promised no more forever wars. He lied. 1 month ago, Trump and his partner, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, started a war with Iran. This war is unconstitutional. Trump did not seek or receive authorization from Congress. This war is a violation of international law. One sovereign nation cannot simply go about attacking another sovereign nation for any reason it chooses. Since this war began, 13 American soldiers have been killed and hundreds have been wounded, including another 12 yesterday. In Iran, nearly 2,000 civilians have been killed and many more wounded, and 498 schools have been bombed by American and Israeli missiles. In Lebanon, more than 1,000 people are dead, and more than 1 million Lebanese people, 15% of their population, have been displaced from their homes. In Israel, 20 people have been killed and over 5,000 wounded. In the West Bank, Israeli vigilantes are burning down homes and killing Palestinians. At a time when gas prices are soaring, when many Americans cannot afford the basic necessities of life, it is estimated that this war has already cost $1 trillion. At a time when the American people are politically divided, there is one issue that is bringing us together. Conservatives, moderates, and progressives are speaking out in unison: end this war. And as a U.S. Senator, I want to just mention to you about what I intend to do about it. First, we have got to make sure that Congress does not send another $200 billion to fight this war. Trump's supplemental appropriation for the war in Iran must be defeated. Secondly, I will be forcing a vote in the Senate on legislation to block the sale of nearly $1 billion in weapons to the Israeli military for bombs and bulldozers. A nation, a government that has committed genocide in Gaza does not need more military support from American taxpayers. My fellow Americans, we are all proud to live in a country which throughout our history has inspired people throughout the world to struggle for freedom, for democracy, and justice. And we understand that when we stand together and not let demagogues divide us up, we can continue to inspire the world to believe in a brighter future. Yes, we can create a vibrant democracy by ending Citizens United and not allow billionaires to buy elections. Yes, we can create an economy that works for every man, woman, and child in our country, and not just a handful of billionaires. Yes, we can make certain that the revolutionary technologies of artificial intelligence and robotics are used to improve life for all of us and not just make the rich owners of that technology even richer. Yes, we can and must join the rest of the industrialized world and guarantee health care as a human right for all of our people. Yes, instead of spending $1 trillion a year on the military, we can wipe out homelessness and build millions of units of low-income and affordable housing. Yes, in the richest country on earth, we can have the best public educational system in the world, tuition-free from childcare to graduate school. Yes, we can expand Social Security and radically improve our pension system so that every senior in America can retire with dignity. Yes, we can raise the minimum wage to a living wage and guarantee every worker the right to join a union. Yes, we can guarantee that every woman in this country has the right to control her own body. And yes, when billionaires are paying an effective tax rate lower than a truck driver or a nurse, we can and must make certain that the top 1% and large profitable corporations start paying their fair share of taxes. My fellow Americans, the establishment, including the corporate media and many of my colleagues in Congress, want you to believe that you are powerless. They want you to believe that you cannot change the status quo, that because of their wealth and their influence, there is nothing you can do to combat them. But that is a lie. Throughout the history of our country, when Americans have stood up and fought for justice, they have prevailed. The founders of our country did it when they stood up to King George. The abolitionists did it when they ended slavery. The working class did it when they stood up to their bosses and formed unions. The suffragettes did it when they demanded that women have the right to vote. The LGBT community did it when they demanded basic human rights. Time and time again, in difficult moments in American history, our people stood up, fought back, and won. They did it then, we can and will do it now. Today, March 28th, 2026, millions of Americans are out on the street demanding freedom, democracy, and justice. But we must make certain today is not the end of our struggle, it is the beginning. Together, when we stand united, we can and will create the kind of nation that you and I know that we can become. Thank you all very much.
And now, please welcome to the stage Congresswoman Ilhan Omar.
Hello, Minnesota. It is so incredible to be here with you all as you show the country just how courageous and dedicated and resistant we are. In the United States of America, we pledge allegiance to the Constitution and the flag, not to a person or a king. I came to this country as a refugee. To me, America was a beacon of hope, a place where freedom wasn't just a word, but it was a promise. I arrived here when I was 12 years old. I could have never imagined the day would come when we were staring down at this kind of creeping authoritarianism in the United States of America. But we are here because Donald Trump just has not chipped away at our democracy. He has taken a wrecking ball to the very foundation of what makes America great. He has tried to intimidate Minnesotans. He has tried to make us afraid. He has tried to divide us. But we stood strong. We have had each other's back, and we have never bent the knee. Because in Minnesota, we are built different. We do not cower to bullies. We are Minnesota strong. What we are seeing right now is bigger than what is happening here. Operation Metro Surge was just the tip of the iceberg. We are witnessing a full-scale assault on our rights, our institutions, and the rule of law. We have an administration that is openly and brazenly breaking the law and is acting like the Constitution is optional. And while they are doing that, they are shamefully and blatantly lying about every single thing they are doing. There were hundreds of millions of dollars in oil futures traded just minutes before a sudden reversal in U.S. policy towards Iran. This is not a coincidence, it is corruption. At DHS, we got a reckless spending spree, planes, vanity projects. It's like a billionaire's midlife crisis, except the American people are paying for it. While the Pentagon keeps failing its audits year after year, somehow they are able to find the budget for steak and lobster.